SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation. SLT Mobitel Fiber, the fiber of the nation.
රින් සුපිරි එලියක් වෙළඳපොලේ අඩුම මිලකට රුපියල් 160යි.
Tonight, who said what? Confusion reigns over the government U-turn on agrochemical import ban as Agri-Minister and Secretary sing from different pages. It could be COVID. Fully vaccinated people urged not to take colds and fever lightly. Snags in progress. Northern Province Governor has high hopes.
We wish to be the best province in 2 years.
While Jaffna District Secretary criticises bureaucracy.
For example, one approval from the proper authority, they are unable to get immediately or within the stipulated period.
All that and much more coming up on First at 9. This Sunday, the 21st of November, 2021.
From AdaDerana, this is AdaDerana First at 9. Live from Studio 24 in Colombo.
Good evening, welcome to First at 9. I'm Dhamnike Kanai. Now then, the Ministry of Agriculture today announced that the government has given the green light to import the necessary plant nutrients and agrochemicals for a host of crops, including paddy, for the Maha season. It signalled a U-turn on the part of the government, which had been staunch in its desire to move towards green agriculture. But then the Minister of Agriculture contradicted his Agri Secretary, categorically saying that the government has not made a decision to allow imports of chemical fertilizer for paddy and vegetables yet. In the end, there is just confusion all around.
The Ministry of Agriculture announced today that permission has been granted to import plant nutrients and agrochemicals necessary for paddy, corn, vegetables and other crops for the Maha season. Secretary to the Ministry of Agriculture, Professor Udit Jayasinghe, said that most of the farming activities during the Maha season are carried out for crops such as paddy, maize, vegetables, as well as export-oriented tea, coconut and rubber. He added that the first step of the Agriculture Ministry is to ascertain the quality of cultivation required to ensure food security and to ensure that the agrochemicals intended to be imported will be in line with the government policy. Professor Jayasinghe went on to say that the required agrochemical quantities will be determined under the supervision of the Director of Agriculture and the relevant advisory committee, and the government has empowered them to act scientifically during the process.
මේ කන්නේදී අපිට දේශීය වශයෙන් නිෂ්පාදනය කරපු අපගේ විශේෂිත පොහොර කාබනික පොහොර වලින් මේ සම්පූර්ණ අවශ්‍යතාවයේ සැපය නොහැකි භාවයක් තියෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම වී වගාව ගත්තොත් මේ කන්නේදී මෙට්‍රික් ටොන් 80000ක් විතර නයිට්‍රජන් සපයන්න වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඉතින් මේ කියන ප්‍රමාණය සම්පූර්ණ කොම්පෝස්ට් වලින් එකවර දේශීයව සපයන්න අපහසුයි. මේ අපහසුතාවයේ වැඩි දියුණු වෙන කාදගත් තමයි ඊයේ පෙරේදා ඇති වෙච්ච වැසි සහිත තත්ත්වය. අපි යොදපු ටිකත් යම්කිසි ආකාරයකින් හේදිලා ගියා. තේ පොල් සහ රබර් කියන ඒවාට රසායනික පොහොර ඉහළ ගුණාත්මකයෙන් යුක්ත හොඳ පොහොර තමයි අපි ආනයනය කළේ. ඒ නිසා තමයි රසායනික පොහොර සඳහා අපි අවසර දීමක් කළේ. දැන් එළවලු වගා විනාශ වෙන්න දෙන්න බෑ. ඒ අදාළ කමිටුවල පූර්ණ නිර්දේශ ලැබුණු ප්‍රමිතිගත දෙවෙනි පරම්පරාව වගේ හොඳ රසායනික පොහොර ඒකට කියන්නේ රසායනික පොහොර කියපු පමණින් හිතන්න එපා මේ වසයි විසයි කියනවා කියලා. අපිට වී සඳහා තමයි දැනට ගැටලුව තියෙන්නේ. මේක තුලත් අපි ඉල්ලුවේ අපිට හෙට උදේට මේ කියන කාබනික පොහොර මේ කන්නේට විශාල වශයෙන් හදන්න බෑ. පිටරටින් ගේන්න යාමත් ඉතා භයානකයි. අපි දන්නවා ඇති වෙලා තියෙන තත්ත්ව. අද අපි යම අඩුපාඩුවක් එලා තියෙනවා නම් නිවැරදි කළ හැකි. අපි නිවැරදි කිරීම තමයි අපි එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කුසි විද්‍යාඥයෝ විදිහට අපි සියලු දෙනාගේම අමාත්‍යාංශයේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ වගකීම ආහාර සුරක්ෂිතතාවයේ නම්බර 1 නම් අපි යට තියෙන නම්බර වලට ප්‍රයොරිටි එක දෙන්න කලින් අර උඩම තියෙන නම්බරය ආරක්ෂා කරගන්න ඕනේ.
The Agriculture Secretary was then asked whether the decision to import agrochemicals signals a failure of the government's push for green agriculture.
නෑ ඒක සාර්ථක නැහැ නෙමෙයි මෙහෙමයි මේ එකපාරට අපේ කරපු වැඩසටහනට දීපු වැරදි උපදේශයක් හෝ එහෙම නැත්නම් මේකේ විෂයානුබද්ධ නොවුණු පුද්ගලයෝ ඇවිල්ලා ඒකේ අනවශ්‍ය තැන් හයිලයිට් කරන්න ගිහිල්ලා මේ කියන වැඩ පිළිවෙලත් කඩා වැටෙනවා.
What's more, the Agri Secretary said that measures will be taken to import necessary pesticide and weedicide as well. All that said, there is however confusion. Minister of Agriculture Mahindananda Aluthgamage contradicts his ministry's secretary, saying that the government has so far not decided to allow imports of chemical fertilizer for paddy and vegetables. He added that measures will be taken to look into the statements that have been made so far on the matter tomorrow. In the meantime, leader of the opposition Sajith Premadasa too weighed on the saga today.
ආපහු රසායනික පෝර ගෙන්නුවට කමක් නැහැ. ශාක පෝෂක කියලා අලුත් නමකුත් ගොතලා ගුණාත්මක භාවයෙන් ඉහළ වචනෙත් දාලා අපිට පේනවා ආණ්ඩුව රිවර්ස් එකක් ගහන්න ලෑස්ති වෙනවා කියලා. හැබැයි මම තව තවත් බලාගෙන ඉන්නවා හරියටම මේ දේ කරනකම්. අද ඒ ප්‍රකාශය කරපු පුද්ගලයා අවස වෙනකොට ඒ තනතුරේ ඉඳීද දන්නෙත් නැහැ. මොහොතින් මොහොත වෙනස් වෙනවා. විද්‍යාව පැත්තකට වීස කරලා මිත්‍යාව පදනම් කරගත්ත ආණ්ඩුවක්. නිසා කොයි මොහොතේ මේ තීන්දුව වෙනස් කරයිද කියන එකත් අපිට හිතා ගන්නට.
In the meantime, State Minister of Promoting the Production and Regulating the Supply of Organic Fertilizer Shashindra Rajapaksa said that a special meeting will be held tomorrow with the President regarding the importation of fertilizer.
Big 3.
District Secretary of Jaffna lamented having to cut through thick bureaucratic red tape when attempting to gain approval for various investment projects in the district at the Regional Forum of the Northern Province organised by the Central Bank today. His comments came at the heels of the Governor of the Northern Province expressing ambition to make the province the best in the island within 2 years.
The Regional Forum of the Northern Province, organised by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, was worked off today under the patronage of Central Bank Governor Ajit Nivard Cabral. The event, themed Prosperous and Equitable Region, was also joined by Governor of the Northern Province, Jeevan Tyagaraja. In the meantime, District Secretary of Jaffna K. Mahishan highlighted the need to ease bureaucratic processes to encourage investments.
Yesterday, I visited several projects and I was very pleased to see that there were a lot of activity that was taking shape, although there were certain areas that could have been improved as well. I visited the herbal tea facility. I saw the oil processing factory. I looked at a wire mesh factory, exotic plants using organic fertilizer, cashew plantation going up to the finished product, and very innovative projects as well. I believe these are the success stories that we should share so that people would know that there is a great deal possible provided there's cooperation. I think the message that we would like to convey to everyone is that there are a lot of opportunities out there. These need to be harnessed in order to ensure that we can have growth. And if we are keen to ensure that the growth takes place, this country can once again become an engine which can be visible to the rest of the world as being an engine that is powerful, that has used its capacity and is able to deliver a comfortable journey. Sri Lanka must get back to a 6+ growth. That's not difficult in my view. It is possible. And we must also ensure that we use the capacity that we have to make exports.
What we are driving, and we want to drive this in the next 24 months, is that the province becomes a zone of investment, not just for the country, but for the region. We're looking for re-export, value-added services, educational services for the region and Africa. We're looking for back office services, which some of our neighbors have, and we're looking for credit, investments and finances. I believe even locally here, I want to also mention that even the poor are rich. Poor are rich here. And we never add value to the richness of every farmer, every fisherman. They have knowledge. And that's also knowledge which can be applied. So we're doing something different. We're going to provide management services to the poor. And it's a combination of our development officers backed up by a planning, because we have that cadre. So if we have poor, we hold their hands and walk to the bank and help them to work and to prosper. If you have 20 students in a class, we are interested in number 11 to 20. We're looking at the back of the class to help them to come up. We're looking at education with a broad band. So you can go up to degree via O-level, A-level. You can go up to degree via NVQ 7. We want to ensure that we bring healthcare to the elders to their homes or where they're residing. There are many women in kites who are young, who are single-heading, and they are compelled to do things which I cannot even mention. It's been there for 10 years or more. It's a horrendous thing. We have a lot of talented women. We have a lot of single family-headed women, but they are in the lowest form of living conditions. We need to lift them up. And finally, access to public utilities and services. We need to ensure that we pay attention, that there is cleanliness, there's hygiene, services are working. So the message is this province is open for business. We're actually last in several sectors, so it can't get worse. That is a good place to be in because we can only go up. So we wish to be the best province in 2 years.
In the meantime, District Secretary of Jaffna K. Mahisan highlighted the need to ease bureaucratic processes to encourage investments.
Our entrepreneurs are facing a lot of issues. For example, one approval from the proper authority, they are unable to get immediately or within the stipulated period. So that we are losing that investment chance or opportunity. So that we have an idea to implement this approval procedure. However, there are so many challenges. Each and every stakeholders and entities, they have separate rules and regulation for their mandate. This is the sometimes burden to the implementation level. So we have to realign and re-engineer these type of things in order to obtain the better results and also achieve our government policies and our needy people's needs to be fulfilled through this way.
A regular supply of Pfizer vaccine doses is expected from next week onwards to support the country's booster dose rollout against COVID-19. Now, this was revealed by State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, today. He also urged people who are already vaccinated to not take symptoms of cold or fever lightly, as they could well mean COVID infection.
Sri Lankan health authorities have so far been able to completely vaccinate 62.5% of the country's total population and administer at least one vaccine dose to 72.6% of the populace. The global consensus is that a country's COVID situation can be arrested if around 70% of the total population is given the general two-dose regime of a vaccine against the virus. In Sri Lanka, health experts believe that many people are already reaping the benefits of the country's vaccine rollout.
සම්පූර්ණ ඉන්නත්කරණයට ලක්වෙච්ච අයට COVID-19 රෝගය වැළඳීම මේ වෙනකොට සුළු හෙම්බිරිසාවක් වගේ තත්ත්වයක තමයි තියෙන්නේ. සාමාන්‍ය උණ තත්ත්වය, හිස රදය සහ මස්පිඩු වේදනාව තමයි ප්‍රධාන වශයෙන් දක්නට ලැබෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ගොඩක් අය පූර්ණ ඉන්නත්කරණයට ලක් වෙලා රෝගය වැළඳුනහම එය නොසලකා හරින්න තීරණය කරලා තියෙනවා. ඒ සාමාන්‍ය උණ හෙම්බිරිසාවක් හැටියට. හැබැයි ප්‍රශ්නේ තියෙන්නේ ඔබට ශරීරයට ලොකු අපහසුතාවක් නැති වුණත් ඔබගෙන් තව කෙනෙක්ට පැතිර යන්න පුළුවන්. විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ වැසි සහිත දේශගුණයක් තියෙන මේ කාලපරිසි COVID-19 රෝගය පැතිර යන්න ඉහළ සම්භාවිතාවක් තියෙනවා. උණ හෙම්බිරිසා ගතියක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක COVID-19 රෝගය වෙන්න තියෙන හැකියාව ඉතාම වැඩි. ඒක නිසා අඩුම ගානේ රැපිඩ් ඇන්ටිජන් පරීක්ෂණයකටවත් යොමු වෙන එක වැදගත් වෙනවා. මොකද Tamanගෙන් රෝගය අනිත් අයට පැතිර යන්න පුළුවන් නිසා ඒ ගැන විශේෂ අවධානයක් යොමු කරන්න කියලා ඉල්ලීමක් කරනවා.
Meanwhile, State Minister of Production, Supply and Regulation of Pharmaceuticals, Professor Channa Jayasumana, noted that more and more doses of the Pfizer jabs are on the way to the island.
අපි හිතන්නේ මේක දැඩි ප්‍රමාණයකට වර්ධනය වෙයි කියලා. ඒ වගේම තවදුරටත් අපිට සතුටුදායකයි අපේ රෝහල් කාර්ය මණ්ඩලයේ වැළඳීම ඉතාමත්ම අවම වෙලා තියෙනවා. මේ තුලින් අපිට පේනවා මේ එන්නත් කරන වැඩසටහනේ ඉතාමත්ම ප්‍රතිඵලදායක තත්ත්වයක් තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම මරණ සංඛ්‍යාව අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒ වගේම රිජ්ජාරේ ළමා රෝහල තුලදී කොරෝනා වැළඳිලා පසුගිය මාස 2-3 තුල මරණ සිදුවීමක් සිදුුනේ නැහැ. මේ තත්ත්වය තුල යම්කිසි සතුටුදායක මට්ටමක් අපිට තියෙනවා. මේ තත්ත්වය තවදුරටත් පවත්වා ගැනීම සඳහා විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ දරුවන්ගේ අධ්‍යාපනය සාර්ථක කර ගැනීම සඳහා දෙමාපියන්ගේ ගුරුන්ගෙත් ඒ වගේම රටවැසියන්ගෙත් විශාල වගකීමක් තියෙනවා. මේක අපි අවස්ථාවක් කරගන්න සුදුසු නැහැ. අපගේ ඉල්ලීම් දෙනා ගැනීමට උද්ඝෝෂණ පැවැත්වීමට හෝ වෙනත් ආකාරයේ ජනතාව කැළඹීම් කිරීමට ඒ වගේම ඒකරාශී වීම අවම කර ගැනීම සඳහා කටයුතු කරනවා නම් මම හිතන්නේ රට ජාතිය වෙනුවෙන් ඔබට කරන්න පුළුවන් ඉතා විශාල මෙහෙයක් විදියට අපි දකිනවා.
In the meantime, with all grades going back to school tomorrow, with grades 6 to 9 returning to academic activities for the first time since the school closure, health officials urge extra caution on part of the public. They want school children to adhere to the health guidelines and parents to make their children aware on the necessity to do so, since they could well end up being carriers of the disease. Unvaccinated parents or guardians are also urged to get the vaccine as quickly as possible to ensure the safety of the school children.
ෆයිසර් එන්නත හෙට දිනේදී ලක්ෂ 15ක් අපේ රටට ලැබෙන්න නියමිතයි. අනිත් දිනේදී තවත් ලක්ෂ 4ක් ලෙස මේ සතිය ඇතුළත ලක්ෂ 19ක් අපිට ෆයිසර් එන්නත් ලැබෙනවා. ඒ අරින්න දෙසැම්බර් මාසයේ ඉඳන් හැම සතියකම ෆයිසර් එන්නත් මාත්‍රා ලක්ෂ 30 බැගින් අපේ රටට එවනවා කියලා මේ වෙනකොට ෆයිසර් මව් සමාගම දැනුම් දීලා තිනවා. ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය නව ශීතාගාර පහසුකම් අප මේ වෙනකොට නාරහෙම්පිට ප්‍රධාන රුධිර මධ්‍යස්ථානයේ සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
Moving on with other local stories, Secretary to the Ministry of Economic Policies and Plan Implementation, Anusha Palpita, says that regional cooperation is essential to overcome the COVID-19 pandemic and to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the need of the hour. He made these remarks while addressing the 5th South Asia Forum on the Sustainable Development Goals, which was held recently at Temple Trees. Addressing the same forum, UN Resident Coordinator of Sri Lanka, Hannah Singha Hamdi, outlined how the region in general can attain sustainable recovery from COVID pandemic, which included a shift towards a climate-conscious agriculture.
The South Asian sub-region, with 25% of the world population, has an important role to global achievement of SDGs. Even though the sub-region showcased high rates of economic growth over the past decades, the region also accounts for relatively high number of people living in extreme poverty and socio-economic deprivations. This situation may have been aggravated due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which caused overwhelming burdens to health systems, disrupted economic activity, delivery of education, other services, widened the economic and social disparities. Regional cooperation is pivotal to overcome these challenges and achieve SDGs in the remaining years while promoting the inclusive, resilient, and sustainable recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic. Looking into the national context, our national policies, planning, budgeting processes are well aligned with the SDGs. This has laid a solid foundation for drive concrete action and public spending towards the SDG areas in Sri Lanka. We recognize that engagement of all stakeholders, both government and non-government, including business sector, would be critical for success of SDG achievement. We are taking steps to further strengthen partnerships with non-state sector stakeholders, enabling us to leverage on the strength of each of them in Sri Lanka's SDG process.
In the meantime, UN Resident Coordinator of Sri Lanka, Hannah Singha Hamdi, explained how to achieve sustainable recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic.
If we are to make a green reset to our efforts to recover from COVID-19, one, the importance of climate-conscious agriculture, with which approximately 60% of South Asia's 1.8 billion citizens are involved. We need to move to productive and regenerative agriculture. Second point, disaster resilience. Economic losses to disasters in Asia and the Pacific could exceed $160 billion annually by 2030. Therefore, we need to look at incorporating disaster risk reduction into land and infrastructure decisions, more sustainable urban planning practices, and adopt a low carbon development project. Third and last, the role of data. As we now well into the decade of action, we need to clearly assess where we are in order to effectively and accurately map the way forward. To do this, we need accurate, timely, and reliable data on which to act.
Now then, the crime branch of the Tamil Nadu police have completed interrogation of Sri Lankan underworld figure late Angodalokka's close aide Chanuka Thalanayaka alias Ladia, who has been in custody for 5 days. Indian media say that the suspect, along with another named T. Gopalakrishnan, alias Jayaprakash, who gave him shelter in Bengaluru, were interrogated. The crime branch team took the duo to Bengaluru, from where they were arrested by a special team on the 13th of November. The Tamil Nadu Police Crime Branch had seized electronic gadgets, mobile phones and SIM cards from them. Reports say that Thalanayaka, who left Sri Lanka along with Angodalokka a few years ago, had managed to obtain an Aadhaar card by producing forged documents. Media reports quoted the Tamil Nadu Crime Branch sources saying that Gopalakrishnan was previously arrested for sheltering Sri Lankan drug dealer Suresh Raj in Bengaluru. Raj, they say, was arrested by the National Investigation Agency in connection with the smuggling of weapons and drugs by a suspected international network. The crime branch sources have said that Gopalakrishnan gave shelter to Thalanayaka on the instructions of Raj. Gopalakrishnan and Thanuku Thalanayaka alias Ladia had been produced before court yesterday, and they were remanded until the 3rd of December. The police said today that Reverend Father Cyril Gamini Fernando is summoned before the Criminal Investigation Department tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Police media spokesperson SSP Nihal Talduwa said that Father Cyril Gamini has been summoned before the CID in relation to statements made by him on the 23rd of October, alleging to be in possession of valuable information regarding the Easter Sunday terror attacks.
මිලියන 18.8 නිවස ලක්ෂ 5ක් ගෙවා දැන්ම වෙන් කරවා ගන්න මල්බෙරි රෙසිඩන්ස්.
Welcome back. This is First at 9. Now, the Monetary Board of the Central Bank has appointed 4 new assistant governors. The Monetary Board, at its meeting held on the 17th, has promoted KGP Sirikumara, D. Kumaratunga, UL Mutugala and CPS Bandara to the post of Assistant Governor with effect from the 17th of November 2021. Now then, market analysts expect selling pressure at the Colombo Bourse next week as the market looks to rectify itself from the significant loss made last week. The Colombo All-Share Price Index plunged 366.17 points to close at 10,658.72 on Friday, while the S&P SL 20 Index of more liquid stocks gained 38.37 points to close at 3,691.03. Here's Dimantha Matthew with the market forecast for the week ahead.
Last Friday's drop in the market was pretty significant, and that could lead to a follow-up correction as well, with the sentiment also slightly onto the negative side and most valuations looking expensive, especially in the retail favorite counters, where if you look at some of the illiquid counters that has moved significantly in value, they seem to be extremely expensive, and we feel that this correction could lead to more selling pressure coming in over the next couple of days as well. So there could be some buying interest coming as well, with some bargain hunters stepping in to buy in some of the counters. However, we feel that with the index around the 11,000 mark and overall moving into expensive territory, that there could be a lot more selling pressure in the coming days. In addition to that, we feel that there could be a shift by the investors into more defensive counters, but could be a bit slower than expected.
Now, the news overseas, more people have fallen ill due to air pollution in India's capital, New Delhi, in the past 2 weeks. This is the conclusion of a survey conducted by an Indian agency.
An Indian agency conducted a survey among 25,000 respondents in New Delhi and surrounding areas, and the results show that 80% of households have one or more members suffering from air pollution-related diseases. The air pollution in the city has become increasingly serious, which makes many people feel unwell. In the past 2 weeks, the proportion of families visiting the hospital increased from 22% to 44% due to air pollution.
Specifically in people who do not have any previous issue, a lot of them complain of burning of eyes. They feel a lot of burning in their eyes, watering from their eyes, a lot of sneezing, feeling of suffocation, feeling of sore throat. That is the more in the younger bracket, and a lot of cough. Cough is the major symptoms we see.
Yesterday, the air quality in New Delhi was in a very bad category for the 7th consecutive day. The air quality index rose from yesterday's 332 to 355 today. The air quality indices of many cities near New Delhi also fell into the very bad category. In the past week, the PM 2.5 indicator in the air in New Delhi was around 220, which was several times higher than the safety level proposed by the Indian Health Department. Experts say that long-term exposure to toxic air can cause many common heart and lung diseases. According to the 2019 Global Burden of Disease report, air pollution is one of the important risk factors for death in India that year, causing an estimated 1.67 million deaths.
And that's it from all of us here at First at 9. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.